Good evening and welcome to the West Valley College Instructional Film Festival. Congratulations to all the faculty whose work is being featured in tonight's program. We're so glad you're tuning in to celebrate this work created by West Valley faculty. As you watch tonight, we invite you to participate live in the chat and also in voting for the winners. Be sure to check out the program on the festival website, where you can learn more about tonight's lineup, and you can cast your vote right on the program page. The winner in each category will receive an Instructional Film Festival Award, better known as an IFFE Award. Come back to the website tomorrow after 12 noon to learn who the winners are. For now, let's get started. We hope you enjoy the show.
And it's interesting, when people hear about argumentation and debate, they think, well, now I'm just going to yell at other people and they're going to yell at me and then I'm going to prove I'm right. But really, argumentation and debate starts with ourselves. We have all sorts of internal dialogue that's happening every day that's shaping our life. And so unless we really understand are our arguments against ourselves even valid, and are they shaping me and pushing me in the direction that I want to go, then we can't argue others. We have to start with ourselves. And then once we understand how arguments work, we can understand how other arguments that other people have around us are affecting us, and how our opinions and thoughts and arguments on other people are shaping and affecting their life. It's crazy because it's such an everyday thing. That leads me to the next point, which is understanding. A lot of times when people think argumentation and debate, they think, oh, I'm going to learn how to just annihilate other people, and anyone who disagrees with me, I'll know the framework of argument so I can just destroy them and show them that I'm right. But that's not always the case. In fact, I hope that that's not how you leave this class. What I hope is that when you leave this class, you understand how to look at both sides of an issue and take whatever truth or logic there is from both sides and then form your opinion.
So how do we remove inflation? Well, unfortunately, in the 1970s, inflation became sort of permanently entrenched in the American economy, and people just expected prices to just continue to rise and inflation to continue to be higher and higher and higher and higher. Inflation was getting into the teens percent, like greater than 10%. It was ridiculous. So Paul Volcker was assigned as Federal Reserve Chairman, and his job was to get rid of this high inflation. Hence, they gave it the name the Volcker disinflation. So how do you get rid of inflation this high? Their idea was, unfortunately, you have to get rid of people's price expectations. You have to create a recession. So think about it. Point A here, we're at high prices, high inflation, and you want to eliminate it. One way to eliminate it is the Fed cuts the money supply severely, which is what they did in the early 80s. This will raise interest rates and then cause investment in the economy to decline, shifting aggregate demand to the left, moving us from point A to point B. On a Phillips curve, this will move us, along that short run aggregate supply curve, then move us along the short run Phillips curve to point B. And so the Fed had to create a recession in the early 80s, high unemployment, and that high unemployment is going to push down prices, push down inflation. And then the Federal Reserve knows that eventually, once people's price expectations are under control, the decline in wages and the decline in price expectations will eventually cause the short aggregate supply curve to shift, moving us from B to C. And therefore, if the short aggregate supply curve is going to the right, the Phillips curve will go to the left, like this. and then get us to a new equilibrium where inflation is under control and we're restored back to the natural rate of unemployment. And that's what Paul Volcker did in the early 80s. He created a recession in the early 80s to break the back of inflation. He successfully did so, but it was definitely costly in the high amounts of unemployment that was created during that time. Unemployment went, I think, up to 10% in order to break the back of inflation. And that's why the book talks about what's called the sacrifice ratio, how much percents of GDP you must give up in order to get inflation to go down. They reduced inflation by 6%, which is great. But the cost to GDP was a 30% reduction in GDP, which is a huge reduction in GDP. Okay, that's disinflation.
I want to take some time now to go over a few key concepts that we'll use going forward and clear up some slippery ideas so that we can be as precise as possible in our analysis using Laura Mulvey's essay. I want us to think about how queer cinema reflects and rejects aspects of the male gaze, and how some of the films we watch in class may be doing some of the work of dismantling that aspect of film, even while retaining aspects of narrative and spectacle. Queer film offers some alternatives, and even while we're still bound to the camera as all-seeing eye in many ways, and that evokes the name of the Father and other elements of the symbolic order, there are many ways in which queer affect can subvert those issues. Moonlight and Carol do this with the averted glance, a way for queer people to look without looking. In a world where looking may be pathologized, illegal, or dangerous, queer individuals are still filled with desire and still must look. Black looks at Kevin only briefly, and usually in his periphery, especially if Kevin is looking back. Kevin looks without avoidance because he has no shame or fear associated with his sexuality, especially when he's alone in the car with Black. Carol and Therese steal glances, and Todd Haynes, Carol's director, makes the camera as skittish and secretive as the women it films. Stolen glances and touches are the sexual language of the film, and that comes from a different relationship that women, and specifically queer women, have to looking and being looked at. Carol wants Therese to watch her by the Christmas tree. Therese wants to pretend Carol doesn't know she's watching. Here we have a different cat and mouse game, but one in which both are cat and mouse at the same time, and the goal isn't for one to catch the other, but to pretend the game can go on forever. I want you to keep these ideas in mind as you make your way through the rest of the films this semester, and hopefully after that too. And if you're interested in extra credit, go ahead and share a clip with your analysis in the extra credit discussion post I've opened in this week's module. Hopefully that was helpful with Mulvey. Enjoy Carol!
Today we're talking about the 6 different ways the spine moves. Now these terms are really important because when you take your mat class or your equipment class, we talk about these positions of the spine all the time. So it's good to memorize what they mean and where your spine goes. So the first one is the forward flexion followed by extension. When we say flexion, that means we're going to fold forward and the upper part of our spine, the head and the neck and the thoracic, are going to bend forward. All right, so let's start with an inhale. Exhale, flex forward. Inhale, we can rise up. And then we go the opposite direction called spine extension. That is where the upper part of the spine goes back. All right, so it looks like this. And we can take the arms up. And we come on back. All right, so that's 2 moves. We have forward flexion and then back extension. Now our spine also moves laterally. That means side to side. All right, I'm going to show you with the arms. Inhale, and then exhale, laterally bend to the right. And inhale, and exhale. Good, arms up again. Inhale, exhale, and laterally bend to the left. And rise up. All right, so now that's 4. We have forward flexion, back extension, bending to the right, bending to the left. The last one is the twist, twisting of the spine. That really gets into these core musculature, obliques, internal and external obliques. We're going to learn a lot of anatomy regarding the core very soon. So let's try this one. Twisting. Good, we twist to the right, twist to the left, and back to the center. So let's review those 6 positions. Forward flexion, back extension, lateral flexion, and the twist. We also call this rotation. Rotation of the spine, right to left. And there you have it, the 6 ways the spine moves.
Alright, so I wanted to show you a few quick tricks to use in Excel spreadsheets so that you don't have to type numbers over and over again. And I'm going to call this trick populating columns. So, for example, for the height here, you're always going to drop it from the same height. So I really want to do 1 meter everywhere. And you could type 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, or what you can do, which is much faster, is select the first 2 rows once you typed 1, and put your cursor in the corner of the box, and you can see the cursor changes to a simple cross instead of having instead of being a mouse, or instead of having these arrows, it's a simple cross. So that's where you know you're in the correct place. Then you click and drag down, and that's gonna write 1s everywhere. So you just populated everything with a constant. Okay. So what if you don't want your numbers to be constant? What if you want them to increase evenly? So let's say that we have the mass of the small mass starts at 0.01 kilograms, so that's 10 grams. And I'm going to increase by increments of 10 grams. So the next one is 0.02 kilograms, and 0.03, and blah, blah, blah. I could keep typing, but I'm going to use the populate trick. So I select the first 2 rows, I put my cursor in the corner until it changes shape to be that cross, click and drag,
and there it did it. It figured that you needed to increase your number, and it did it. Okay, so now I want to populate the mass of the second mass, the most massive one, and let's say that I want the total mass of little m plus big M to be always 150 grams, so 0.15 kilograms. I could do 0.14, 0.13 and drag, or I could say, hey, it's going to be equal to the total mass minus this. So it calculates here what the mass is, if the mass is to be left constant. And I can now again populate the column by going in the corner and pulling down. And what it does is that if I could go into, I could go into any of these cell, click, and it tells me here that this is 0.15 minus the column on the left. So that's how it calculates that.
Okay, in this lesson, we want to learn to draw some icons that we could use for a specific task. In this case, the icon we want to draw is a directional icon, almost like a map. So if you think of your icons that you have on your phone, we're thinking about an icon that would be on your iPhone or an Android phone. And we would use this to tap, right? You're going to tap on your icon to launch the app. So in this case, what I want you to do is draw a series of icons on a piece of paper. And what we're going to do is take that drawing, the one that we think is the one we want to use, and we're going to convert it into a digital file. So again, what I want you to do is at least draw, several different ideas. The ideas can be anything. You can draw everything from with a pen, paper, or with a pencil, or with a marker. In this case, I'm drawing with both markers and pencils. And then once you find the one you want to do, you want to refine it down to a more exact drawing. Okay, in this case, I found the icon I kind of like, and I want to be able to turn it into a digital file. So one way to do that is to make a more precise drawing, and I'm going to do that by using some round, in this case I'm using some round glasses here, and then I'm going to draw with a pencil to get my outline the way I would like it to be, and then I'm going to fill in that pencil drawing with some ink. And then when I'm done with that, I will take a picture of that with my phone and import that from my phone into my computer. And then I can go and refine it using Illustrator and Photoshop to complete my icon. Okay, now we have our icon here. I'm going to open it up. You'll see that I have taken a picture of my my drawing, and what you want to do when you take a picture of the drawing is you want to be able to get it to be more black or white. I should have probably shot this with a little bit more contrast, but it'll work still, and I try and make it a little bit more even would have been better, so it's not so dark down in this corner and so white over here. But try your best to take your picture, and then we're going to use Adobe Illustrator.
Since I don't have access to actors, and I realize a lot of you are probably in the same boat, if you write a script and you want to actually shoot a narrative, you're going to have to be creative about this. So I've got some stand-ins here, and I want to show you folks how to cover your dialogue, shoot your script, and preserve continuity and do it in a simple, straightforward manner. So in this particular case, we have a dinner scene with a panda and a bunny. Maybe they're talking about something serious, maybe they're not. We've got our master shot of the two of them at the table with their beverages, and now we have a close-up of the panda. We also have a matching close-up of the bunny. Now, at some point during their conversation, a mouse waiter comes in and asks them about the specials and whether they'd like to hear about it. The bunny says yes, she would like to hear about it. The panda, on the other hand, tells the waiter what he can do with his list of specials. The waiter, of course, is shocked and appalled. The bunny is not shocked, because the panda has been rude to waiters on numerous occasions, and she tells him that she does not appreciate this sort of behavior. The panda attempts to apologize, but he's not very good at it, and the two of them end the dinner in silence. So Todd says that if we launch our new OS platform this month before the other platforms, we'll be miles ahead of them in regards to user functionality. But also those AV features I told you about that the R&D department just rushed in last month. It'll take some long hours to get it done, but I can really feel it. This is really leading to that payoff that I've been waiting for. All those years of sacrifice, when those other guys were out partying and I was staying in, jamming the code, I've given up a lot, but it's going to be worth it.
That's really great, Bob.
I could have signed with Getro or AT&T, but Todd was right. This is the perfect fit with my skill set. Good evening. I'm Lance, and I'll be your waiter this evening. Would you like to hear about our specials?
That would be lovely.
Tonight we have braised scallops and a white wine reduction, accompanied by root vegetables and garlic zucchini confit. Dude, you probably didn't notice that I was talking about important stuff, and you totally just walked up and interrupted with your stupid specials. I'm sorry, sir. I was just... Stop talking. You shouldn't ever talk.
Bob, please.
This guy's a terrible waiter. He should know. He should know better.
Don't, please.
No, I've worked hard. Too hard. And you walked up and ruined it. I could have you fired from the job that you suck at. Yeah, keep walking, buddy. The nerve of that guy.
Why do you do this?
You saw what happened. He just walked up and was like, "Hi, my name is Lance. Scallops.
I just don't understand. No, I guess I do. You've been given everything. I mean, like, for your entire life.
What do you mean?
Everything. And you think you earned it?
What? That's...
bullshit, Bob.
Well, I wouldn't...
F*** you, Bob.
What is this?
What is this? It's you, Bob. It's you being the world's biggest asshole.
I don't know where this is coming from.
Get me out of here. Waiter, check, please.
So tired of all the darkness in our lives, with no more angry words to say can come alive. Get into a car and drive to the other side. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear.
Now, I'm going to show you a 20-second video illustrating how the internet has been a positive impact on our culture today. Here's the first, randomly taken from the web.
Well, we've been. Can't you hold my hand and stay a while?
This second video taken from the web will show us just how far we have come, giving us hope for the future.
See, well, we've been. Can't you hold my hand and stay a while?
everyone, my name is Vicki Choi and I'm one of the EOPS counselors. I just wanted to take a quick break from the orientation to let you know that you're doing a great job of getting through all the modules so far. Today I'm here to talk to you about limitations to EOPS and how long you can stay in the program. As much as we'd love to work with you year after year, we also want you to be successful and move on to bigger and better things. Come join me as we explore EOPS limitations up next. EOPS program limits, when you'll have to exit EOPS. The reasons why a student would time out of EOPS are: once you reach 70 degree applicable units, once you reach 6 semesters in EOPS, once you graduate, transfer, and/or earn your certificate or degree, and lastly, if you are not following program requirements. Let's start by looking at the first two limitations. Once you reach 70 degree applicable units on all your college transcripts combined, you will have to exit EOPS. Degree applicable means all units that apply to an Associate of Arts degree, also known as an AA degree. The second limitation is when you reach 6 semesters in EOPS. Once you have completed 6 consecutive semesters, meaning 6 semesters in a row in the program, we will have to exit you. EOPS limitations are set by the Chancellor's Office and state guidelines, not by the program or West Valley College. The key here to remember is that you will have to exit EOPS if you reach 70 degree applicable units or 6 semesters in the program, whichever one comes first. If you think you are approaching 70 degree applicable units or 6 semesters, check with your EOPS counselor for an accurate count. The third program limitation is a positive one. When you graduate, transfer, or earn your certificate or degree, you will have met your goal. Therefore, you will be exited from EOPS because you'll be moving on to other amazing things in your life. Lastly, you will be exited from EOPS if you are not following program requirements, which includes being on probation for 2 semesters in a row or not making your 3 required contacts. We will talk more about probation in the next module. So to recap, you can continue in the program until you have reached these limits: reaching 70 degree applicable units or reaching 6 semesters in EOPS, whichever one comes first, meeting your academic goals, and not following program requirements. Questions? Please feel free to write them down so that you can ask your counselor the next time you meet with them. In the next module, we'll talk more about EOPS probation, the different types of probation, and their consequences. You're about halfway through, and you just have a couple more modules to complete to finish this orientation. Keep up the good work, and I hope to meet you soon.
Welcome to the West Valley College Park Management trip to Redwoods National Park. My name is Chris Cruz, and I'm the instructor for this particular class. And we made a trip this fall to Redwoods National Park. We started out in the Jedediah Smith campground along the Smith River in Northern California. We had the opportunity to explore Redwoods National and State Parks. We started out with the Grove of the Titans, taking a look at the trail and how it was constructed and working with the trail crew for this California State Parks. We were able to see all aspects of the trail operation and also understand what the resource issues were in this particular grove of redwood trees. This set of trees was discovered in 1998, and since then there's been a tremendous amount of impact that the state parks and the National Park Service are trying to protect at this point. The students were able to see this environment and understand what was going on in that particular location. We were also able to hike places like the LBJ, the Lady Bird Johnson Grove in Redwoods National Park, and actually learn more. Mill Creek Restoration Area is another area that we went to, learned about road decommissioning, about creek restoration, about creating access on these lands that were once heavily logged. And the California State Park with the National Park Service has done an amazing job of trying to restore these forested lands and these waterways. You can see the redwoods will regenerate pretty quickly. Having the opportunity to see and explore the Mill Creek restoration, it was very important for our students to see this work close at hand. Looking at the effects of wildlife, the bear damage on redwoods, looking at how different testing plots worked with different types of treatments in terms of which trees to remove and which trees to keep. These were all important issues that we were able to see. Also, we were able to see wildlife and being able to observe the Roosevelt elk, the largest elk in North America, was an amazing experience for students. Finally, being able to talk to our native indigenous people and tribal elders from the Tolowa Nation, we had the opportunity to explore and see Yontaket, which was the site of their massacre in 1853. We finally had the group out on the beach at Tolowa Dunes, able to take a break a little bit and to reflect on the day and the trip. Finally, at the end, Ranger Mike Whelan presented us with his concluding thought, and we very much appreciate his participation.
If you're starting to develop a really strong passion for Pilates and you're practicing every day, you might be wondering, how can I become an instructor? Let me tell you, it is a fantastic career. I've been teaching Pilates for over 20 years and involved in the fitness industry. I'm even a community college instructor, and I love it. If you want to find out how you can become an instructor, let me tell you. Learning the Pilates method can lead to a very rewarding career. There's a couple things you might want to ask yourself. First off, do you enjoy working with people? Secondly, are you a mover? Or do you prefer your work setting to be sitting behind a desk? If you said mover, then we're on the right track. Also, do you like helping people and helping them reach their fitness goals and feeling good about themselves? If you said yes to these questions, you may want to enroll in a career-changing opportunity and become a Pilates instructor. If you're looking into joining a Pilates instructor training program, you're going to want to look into your community and see who offers a program that fits your needs. There are several types of training programs out in the community. You can find one at a local YMCA or a health club or a private boutique studio. Now, I highly recommend going to a community college because number one, they're very, very affordable, and you can complete your comprehensive training within as little as 6 months. Now, the program that I teach at West Valley is fabulous because we offer training on the mat, the Cadillac, the chair, and the arc barrels. And that's what you're going to want to look for, a comprehensive program, and one that is affordable and suits your needs. Other topics that you will learn in a comprehensive training program would be behavioral coaching and getting your clients to reach their goals. We also talk a lot about posture when we're doing Pilates exercises. So you're going to want to know a little bit of anatomy, some nutrition, ways to connect with your clients, and be really personable. When you're done completing your program, you can get a job at a health club, maybe a spa, even cruise ships hire Pilates instructors, and that's really, really fun. You can also own your own business. Being an entrepreneur is so rewarding. To be able to work for yourself and have a job that you're very, very passionate about is going to take you a long way in life. The fitness industry has so many careers available to you. I've had a very long, successful career, mainly because I've kind of dabbled in many different areas. I love also teaching yoga. I've done personal training. I love getting out and doing the cardio and the kickboxing and some martial arts. There's so many things you can do in the fitness industry. So I hope you get started and look for that certification program today.
Welcome to West Valley College, a beautiful campus. Do you know the library has a new location? We have temporarily moved to the village, V21 to V26. Please come visit us. We have many study spaces for students to study. We also provide the following library services: online catalog, OneSearch, databases, research help, orientation, technology, textbook and technology, and Cranium Cafe. We have some fun activities. Here you can see students are making Valentine cards. We also have thematic displays such as the celebration of Women's History Month. Our campus has a lot of other community activities, such as the recent Viking Field grand opening. What a fun event that so many students, faculty, and staff attended. West Valley is a wonderful campus. Please come to the library to find out about all these activities and more. We're here to help you along your path to academic success.
Hello, biology students. In this activity, I'm going to show you how to perform your strawberry DNA extraction activity from home. We know that extracting DNA from cells is the first step in biotechnology activities such as DNA fingerprinting and genetic research. The first step in performing this activity from home is to gather all of your materials. The Canvas page tells you which materials are in your lab kit and which you are responsible for getting from home. Next, you need to prepare your extraction solution made with dish soap, salt, and water. The soap will disrupt the phospholipid bilayer of both the cell and the nuclear membranes. The salt will help release the DNA bound by the histone proteins. Proportions of these ingredients are provided in the written instructions on this Canvas page. Place your strawberry in your Ziploc bag along with your extraction solution. Smash it until it becomes a fairly homogeneous solution. This will take about 2 to 3 minutes. Using the cheesecloth provided in your lab kit and your kitchen funnel, strain your strawberry mixture into your 50 milliliter tube until it is about half full. The DNA from your strawberry is currently dissolved in the strained strawberry extract. You will add chilled isopropyl alcohol to condense the DNA, which will rise to the top of your tube. Congratulations! You have now extracted DNA from a strawberry. Use your tweezers to gather the DNA strands from the top of the tube. Take a photo of your accomplishment and upload in the Canvas page.
If I were to begin my assignment, I would first choose my text. In this case, I've chosen the classic Dateline episode, Generic Murder Mystery, which covers the murder of Sally Victim by John Suspect as described by David Kopp. I've watched my episode, and I've taken copious notes with timestamps of important moments so that I can cite my evidence correctly in MLA format. If I refer to my rhetorical analysis guide, it tells me how to construct my introduction sentence by sentence. My first sentence should outline the text title and any relevant author's name, and then outline their general thesis. So for my essay, I'd write, the Dateline episode, Generic Murder Mystery, implies that David Kopp is the ultimate authority in the case of Sally Victim's murder. My next sentence should explain how the author develops or supports their thesis. The program establishes David Kopp's authority through images of him with his detective's badge, the use of official police crime scene photos, and the juxtaposition of Mr. Kopp's interpretations of the murder with those of witnesses of questionable character. Third, I'll explain the author's purpose and why it's important. The Dateline reporter encourages the audience to side with Mr. Kopp's versions of events in order to present an open and shut case against John Suspect and create a clear resolution for viewers. Finally, I'll connect this to the audience of my piece, since I'll use the relationship between audience and the text to develop some of my analysis of the rhetorical modes the author or text employs. Dateline is written for an audience that is conversant in true crime and familiar with the language and policies of law enforcement and the criminal justice system. Okay, so here's my first paragraph with each section color-coded. My body paragraphs would explore each of the elements I've listed as well as the relationship to the audience and some of the minor details like sound, color, production design, etc. that I didn't mention explicitly in my intro. If you're thinking, but that's more than 5 paragraphs, you're absolutely right. Forget that 5 was ever a magic number because it wasn't. The 5-paragraph essay is a model that allows for clear assessment and forces arguments into boxes. Arguments need room to grow, and your essays from here on out should be too complex and nuanced to be contained by 3 points with no clear relationship to each other. Let your ideas flow, and keep your paragraphs to under 3/4 of a page as a general rule, though not a hard and fast one. You should have 1 major idea per paragraph, no more. Each time you're adding a new wrinkle, start a new paragraph so that your reader can clearly follow your points. Once I've fully explored my text, I'm ready for the conclusion. Here, I should close out my analysis by connecting it back to the text's original thesis and giving my reader something to consider as they move on with their lives. Come back next week for our conclusion. Conclusions.
So, my mom thinks I should be drinking celery juice, and I'm skeptical. So, I'm going to do what I do in lots of situations like this, which is turn to stats.
So, if I search on Google benefits of, celery juice is definitely one of the first things that comes up. And we can see lots of articles about the benefits of celery juice, and they list these things like helps flush out toxins. But what does that really mean, and how are we sure that this is actually beneficial? So to decide that, you are going to design an actual experiment. So how do we decide if drinking celery juice actually helps us? We need to conduct an experiment. In this assignment, you're going to design an experiment to measure the health impacts of drinking celery juice. We have to address all the components of an experiment. What is your treatment? What are your outcome variables? For outcome variables in particular, there are different ways of measuring aspects of our health, so you'll have to select one interesting to you. How will you handle random assignment to your control and treatment groups? What will you use for a placebo? And lastly, how will you handle blinding?